everybody. My name is Ray, and I want to share my story. So, as one does on Pride Month, even though it's the end, I wasn't quite ready at the start, so I hope I'm not too late to the party. I just wasn't ready at the start of the month to do it, so here we go. Yippee! Now, as for how it all started kind of when I was like 5 or 6. When I don't remember a lot of it because I'm pretty sure I was a little traumatized. But I do remember the first part, which is my family for a Halloween event at church. They are conservative. Or at least, yeah, I mean, they still are conservative. but you know, also Christian. They dressed me up, put on makeup. I guess they thought it was funny. I mean, I'm sitting there, I looked in the mirror, I kind of actually, you know, I remember at that point in time, I actually felt a little good about it. I didn't like that I was a joke, obviously. But you know, I felt a little good about it. So now they will say something different now that I'm started transitioning. They'll say, oh, it was a shepherd's robe. I'm just sitting there like, well, why would you need to do my makeup? Like, feminine makeup, not like, oh, I'm gonna rub some, make it look like your face is all dirty and whatnot. That wasn't that type of makeup. It was literally feminine makeup. Why would you do feminine makeup for a shepherd's robe? But a little off topic there. But it was basically, you went to church, apparently, and literally every adult there, apparently in a mocking tone, kept calling me a girl. Now, you know, as a 5 or 6-year-old, that is a lot to happen to you. Everybody in the place is mocking you for that, or for something. And I mean, now I know that was actually a part of me. And well, judging by my actions afterwards, that little time gap in my memory, I ended up cutting my hair. Did not, you know, as kind of defense mechanism, I cut my hair. I tried to be more boyish, which subsequently, I believe personally, at least, seemed to have triggered anger issues within me that persisted for a long while. It was rough. It was really, really rough. Definitely did not make things easier on me. Not only that, once puberty hit, I got the overwhelming desire to, you know, want to be a girl. And as the changes happened, I slipped further and further into a depression, all while not knowing what trans is, what being trans meant, and so I didn't know what to do with these feelings. I instinctively knew that I could not share these feelings with my conservative Christian family. At least, I guess so, because I never did. It really did feel like, oh, I should not tell them that I feel this way. Alongside, the stereotypical, oh, everybody must feel this way. Which, flash news, if you didn't know, breaking news, not everybody feels that way. And if you do feel that way, you probably have some questions to ask yourself. Now, it could be that it's just a passing thought. Aside from that, I also had a dream where I ended up being turned into, at least, let's just say I was a cis woman in that dream, and when I woke up, I felt a mix of euphoria and dysphoria at the same time. I felt euphoria because, I had just been feeling in my dream like a woman. But when I woke up, I wasn't. Strictly speaking, I didn't look like a woman at all. And it really hurt. That dream, overall, it was quite neutral, that experience of waking up from that dream. It was like, on one hand, you had all the euphoria, and on the other hand, you also had all the dysphoria at the same time. Now, handling these emotions throughout the foreseeable future had some more unintended consequences. One being, I just started becoming numb. I went from the kind of expressive little kid to, I basically just did not feel anything. I started having to emulate emotions and be like, oh, I'm supposed to laugh here? Okay. And smile. Wear a fake smile too. Most times, not even that. When I was even by myself. And still not knowing anything. At least I didn't have a word to put to it. The closest thing I got to in my teenage years was at around, I believe, somewhere between 14 and 15. My sister had come to me and... No, not come to me. Come to one of my relatives and announced that, hey, one of my cousins was transitioning. Now, that immediately kind of just went down the drain. Simply just because my relative that they were talking to, they shut it down. They were just like, I would say in probably the most polite way you could probably do it, in saying, yeah, I don't really want to talk about it, just going, okay, whatever. Definitely acting completely disinterested. which in turn, me growing up, still having a lot of growing to do, both mentally and physically, even if the physical was not in the direction that I personally aligned with. I just kind of also just brushed it off. And I still wouldn't hear about it until I became an adult, until after I became an adult, a young adult. And yeah. And I think this next part is important to mention. I personally feel like it's probably not as big of a thing, but considering all this, I'm growing more numb to everything, where I'm only really starting to feel depression and sadness. I'm getting more anxiety as time goes on. I go to college. I run out of money. I have to drop out. I have to go back with family. Feeling that way, feeling numb and everything. I had started to hate myself. And what dropping out of college did to me mentally was also put it into my head that I'm also a failure for everybody else. I just can't succeed at anything. So I isolated. I holed up in my room. And honestly, it was only because some little voice in my head told me to go talk to somebody that did not know me, did not know what I was going through at the time. At least I call it a voice, but it was more like a feeling. Some thoughts that kind of pushed past all those negative thoughts, if you know what I mean. So I hopped on VRChat, and first day, no luck. Second day, no luck. So I think I took a break for a day, or I might have just woke up the next day after the second day. Just like, okay, last day. And that last day could have very well been my last. Not to draw sympathy, I'm better now. But I met two very important people that day that just helped me. I didn't tell them about what was going on. I didn't tell them about my issues. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to try to be me as I am at the time, or trying to be more specific. And I'm just gonna hang out. I'm gonna try to have some fun with them. They don't know my living situation. They don't know me personally. Felt like I wasn't under any pressure from the pressures that were affecting myself IRL, even though I wasn't in VR at the time. Which they also did to get. Kind of forced me to get. So, yeah. But in the end, it only lasted a few months. But that's few months that I desperately needed. Our little triad broke up, and we kind of just drifted apart a little bit. I never reconnected with one of them, but I did reconnect with another one of them. And just what happens, after reconnecting with them, about 6 months later, they became my partner. And she's such a great person. And I love her very, very much. She was mute the entire time. I don't know, I just got a really good vibe from her. I want to spend more time with you, and I want to get to know them even more. And, just the classic madly in love. It was great. For the first time in my life, I had actually felt it. I had felt that emotion. It was great. And it still is. And why I'm telling you this is because she is trans. And she was my first solid mention in my life of a trans person. Or transgender. Heck, the word transgender, without it being immediately brushed off, which was only mentioned one word before. Other times, it was literally descriptor, like, by family. The transphobic things, like, men are pretending to be women going into the bathroom. That type of stuff. And, well, I had a lot to learn. And as I learned, which I did make some mistakes, which scared the heck out of me because I really love her. And I really loved her, and I still do. It was, those mistakes scared the heck out of me because I didn't want to lose her. Because of my dumb mistakes. But pushing that aside, as I was learning, I started connecting dots and started to realize that, I might be trans. So for a few years, up until about 2024, actually January of 2024 exactly. No, January of 2025. January of 2025, I was talking with a friend that I hadn't talked to in a little while. Actually, just a good while. And eventually, it came out. I came out just on a whim. I wasn't thinking, I was just talking. I got caught up. I just told them, yeah, no, I've been questioning my gender for a long while now. And that kind of forced me to actually seriously think about it. And at the same time, puts a weight off my shoulders, a burden. Immediately, I felt lighter emotionally. I felt like some sort of emotions were starting to come back. And the time shortly thereafter, I started to actually smile. Genuinely. And not like just I'm posing for pictures, I'm smiling. So shortly thereafter, I made a video to one of my friends I had made along the way that were trans and living their life publicly as who they are. And, just ask for some advice because I knew I would eventually reach that point hopefully very soon. After that, which I did, and they gave some great advice. Having that advice in mind, I then made one for my partner and the rest of the friend group I had at the time. I was lucky that everybody was so accepting. I had surrounded myself with accepting people. I did start off with the classic non-binary they, them pronouns, and I very quickly moved away from them because they just did not feel me. Although now, because of that, I do have a funny group in my group. It's called Neon Binary. I think it's just such a funny pun, honestly. So I've just kind of kept it from those days. But I went to shoot her really very, very shortly after. And I immediately got comfortable with it. I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, hell yeah. This is me. I love this. But I also started voice training like very shortly thereafter, since I was spending a lot more time in VR, seeing as how I could see myself like this or something similar, and kind of get immersed in it and feel a lot more comfortable. However, my voice always had given me dysphoria, so it's like, well, until I can get it on HRT and have it do its thing for a little while, make me feel comfortable enough in my own body, I'm gonna try hanging out most of my time in VR chat. And I'm gonna also voice train. I'm gonna just hammer it down, which I did it in probably one of the least recommended ways, which is doing it 24/7. I'm sorry. I did torture myself a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but I was also like super hyper focusing on it. Like there wasn't a waking moment where I was like, I just want to voice train right now. For like a month and a half, 2 months straight. Of course I reached points where I was like, okay, no, I have to stop now. I don't want to permanently damage my vocal cords. I have to take a break for at least a few hours. And I did that. I drink lots of water. I still don't recommend it though. Don't do what I did. It sucks. But I got something similar to what I have now. But definitely a little bit more raspy. It was definitely a lot more raspy and a lot more unrefined, if you will. Which, I made small adjustments while I have been using it. So I think it sounds well enough for now. Still get dysphoria from the fact that it's still a voice I technically have to do in order for me to feel comfortable. It's the act that I know I am actively changing my voice to something I'm more comfortable with. So hopefully in the future I can solve that. Now, I didn't mention HRT. That same year I came out. In fact, on March 5th of that same year, I actually had an appointment with Planned Parenthood. Thank you, Planned Parenthood. Not sponsored, but I think it's really cool that at least in my state they had the option to just go in, be like, at least you get educated, you go over everything, and you can just get HRT. I went. I dressed. I dressed up as well as I could, and same day got my HRT. It was amazing. Took it, and wow, I know it was placebo type of deal, but an hour or two in, I felt amazing. I was happy. I was getting really happy. I was having a lot of euphoria at that moment. And I still have a lot of euphoria from it. Obviously, it's toned it down and kind of leveled off because, you know, I have it all the time now. I have it all the time. Yippee. Yeah. It's been great. A couple of weeks later, I started noticing the changes. Aside from like still having a little bit of the hot flashes and stuff from just the change in hormones. But I started noticing certain changes. And the euphoria hit again. Oh my gosh. But it was also around that time I realized, yeah, no. I'm gonna have to go back to family again. I have to live with family again, and it's I'm gonna have to hide this. However, in the meantime, you know, I was hanging out with more people. I actually visited this amazing group called the Trans Academy out here on VRChat. And I found it through virtual reality show's video right here or right here. They did a whole video on it. I'm like, you know what? I can do that. I can go. It's a nice, safe environment, which it is. It really is. Although, being the socially anxious person I am, I just somehow thought it was a good idea to try and go to talk to people or interact with people in almost full instance. There was a lot of people, so I just ended up hiding in the corner the first day. You know, it just happens sometimes. Just kind of observed. Some people tried coming up to talk to me, and I very much appreciate it. I was very overwhelmed, and with all the voices going on, so I didn't know about earmuff mode at the time. I was just getting straight up overwhelmed. There was too much talking going on. I was getting overstimulated. I just had to be in a corner. Now, you know, I eventually did talk to more people, and it was great. I attended the tours there. Everything was amazing. I even made some new friends. Now, fast forward to June of 2025 a little bit. I had to kind of go home. Back to my family. And it felt rough. It felt rough. Definitely started slipping back. Not slinking. What am I thinking? Slinking. But I definitely slumped back into a little bit of depression, which, you know, I said I would hide it. Apparently I couldn't hide it for long. I had a night where I had an argument once it finally came out, and I ended up crying myself to sleep that night. It was rough, and you know, because the one person that figured it out was a major gossip, by the way. Major gossip, by the way. Just told everybody in my family pretty much. But what was I gonna do? It was gonna come out sooner or later. Yes, I felt terrible, but at least it was just out there now. As painful as it was. But at the same time, it also made things harder for the foreseeable future, as now they knew they were misgendering me. Now they knew they were dead naming me. I even had a couple talks with them to try and, make things better for myself. Or, holding out a little bit of hope. Eventually, it was kind of all for naught. Some things happened. Someone drove a wedge between me and the one person that I had still was holding out hope for. Because, at least for the one person, I didn't know if they would come around or not. Eventually, that wedge was driven, and I had realized that my own biological father had been pretty much manipulated by his girlfriend to pretty much not accept me, or try not to accept me for who I was and who I am. Basically saying things like telling him stuff in the background like, hey, you don't have to do this. It's alright. While I actively was telling him, hey, no, this is not alright. This hurts me. But yeah, once that wedge was driven, as well as just another situation entirely, that was literally for nothing, that I found out later on. But at that point, I had contacted any friends I had at the time that were in my area. However, my friends did not have any openings, could not let me crash at their place for a little bit, which was understandable. It was understandable. But, seeing as how I couldn't live with people that despised me, I couldn't bear the thought of people that despised me, actively despised me. Like my own biological parent despising me, on top of the misgendering and dead naming. I knew it was going to be unbearable. I knew it was going to drive me to a point where I did not want to be ever again in my life. I knew I would rather be homeless. So that was a decision I had made. I thought to myself, I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to solve things myself, I'm going to still have my job, so it's not going to be hopeless. I'm going to contact places ahead of time, be like, hey, no, I'm leaving, whether there's nothing here. I'm just going to leave, because for my own mental sake, I cannot be here anymore. I cannot be where I am anymore. Thankfully, I was talking with a friend I came out to. I initially declined their offer for them to drive all the way to where I was, which was, mind you, like an 8-hour drive without stopping. Like a 7-8 hour drive without stopping. And I was just like, I can't really ask that of you. But eventually things, the facade broke. They kept asking me like, hey, you want me to come get you? And I'm just like, I started crying. And well, I'm here now. I'm so much happier here. I have been able to express myself, be myself. I'm in a much more supportive place. I wholeheartedly think that this was definitely the right move, at least for now. I definitely plan on doing a lot more. That being said, in that span of time between my HRT starting and me joining Trans Academy, I did attend a Pride event with Trans Academy where I met FairyPrincessLucy and Scaruri. And they were great, and they honestly helped me feel more confident in who I am. In that moment, I was also hanging out with other people, as you saw in the picture. But it was a really fun time. I learned a lot too in that event. It was amazing and a lot of fun. I also attended this year in some capacity. Obviously, a lot of stuff was just kind of repeated information. But I did check it out. It definitely wasn't organized exactly the same way as it was last year in 2025. As for right now, I have now started streaming and, making little silly skits here on YouTube. I probably wouldn't have had the strength to do this and stream if I hadn't been interviewed by FairyPrincessLucy in a video she released earlier this year, which I apologize for the mic quality of FairyPrincessLucy. Lucy, I'm so sorry. I didn't know my mic quality was that bad. Yeah, if I had known, I probably would have put a little bit more effort into my mic quality, but I did definitely talk about some stuff in that interview that also kind of apply here as well. But doing that, made me realize how much I enjoy this. And just how much I like streaming as well. It was great. It was amazing. I love it. As exhausting as it can be sometimes, I always feel refreshed at the same time. Honestly, it's only exhausting because Quest Pro headset, yippee. But it's something I do enjoy doing very, very much. Speaking of which, Twitch. Come watch me sometimes. I'm usually streaming on the weekends. That little plug out of the way though. Definitely some special thanks to my friends, to my new family here that I'm staying with, to my new friends who accepted me for who I was right out of the gate. I love you all. Thank you, FairyPrincessLucy, Scaruri, for helping me accept myself even better and be more confident in who I am during that event in 2025. And just showing me everything was alright. You've definitely inspired me to be one myself, however good I may be. And thank you all who all are watching right now for just watching, listening. It means a lot. And I hope I can see you sometime, whether it be on stream, in-game, or just in the YouTube comment section. Or maybe you just want to stick to watching. That's fine too. I just wanted to put my story out there. Saying that, thank you all for watching.